He joins us a couple of times a week, and he's ready to go right now. I think he's got the TML lid on. You promised the column was coming out. Is it out yet? I was looking for it all morning long, and I didn't see it.
Yeah, I finished it about 5 minutes ago.
Okay. Well, everybody can go there and read it, themorningline.substack.com. Your overall impressions of the Bengals' victory yesterday in New Orleans were?
Well, I wrote this on the Morning Line. I sort of paraphrased Donald Rumsfeld. Old people remember Donald Rumsfeld. He was Secretary of Defense under George H.W. Bush, and he had a line of something to the effect that you don't get the army that you want, you get the that you need or want, you get the army that you have. That didn't sit well with a lot of folks here during the first Iraq War, but that kind of sums up to me the Bengals. You don't get the 21 team that you want, you get the 22 team that you have, and that may not be bad. This is a different team. Different circumstances, and I think no game this year pointed that out more than yesterday's game. They're not going to be the bombs away Bengals. Teams have taken that away, and they have not shown enough, I don't know what it is, arrogance, courage to change that. For the most of the first half yesterday, Thom, they perfected the horizontal passing game. And if you're used to watching this team from last year, you're kind of thinking, boy, this is ugly. And it was only in the second half when they kind of loosened things up, the play calling, and let Burrow be Burrow and Chase be Chase, that they looked like the team that everybody thought they were getting when the year started. And all that sort of a fancy way of saying that a win is a win, I suppose, as they always tell us. It's hard to win in the NFL, which I've never understood because half the teams in the league do it. So it must be equally hard to lose in the NFL. But anyway, they go to a dome and it's loud and they're behind the whole game. They come back and they find a way to win, and that's great. That said, I don't think that game changed my opinion of this team one way or the other. In fact, after I watched that game and then I watched Kansas City and Buffalo, it may have reinforced my opinion. This team is not in that class. I mean, you can say they beat Kansas City twice last year, but that was last year. I don't know if you watched Kansas City, Buffalo, but those are the two best teams in the NFL. And if the Bengals aspire to be of that caliber, they're still a little bit short of that. And I think the big reason is the offense still kind of squirming to find itself.
I almost wonder, though, and you are spot on in all of that, especially, the horizontal passing game. But look, I've been as critical as anybody on the play calling, and not only the play calling, but the play design. I look at some teams, and I made the reference, Doc, a week ago. The Travis Kelce, everybody on the planet knows this guy's going to catch the ball when Kansas City is in a clutch situation. He only had 7 catches in that game 2 weeks ago for 25 yards, but 4 of the 7 were for touchdowns when everybody on the planet knew inside the 8-yard line he was going to get the ball, and they got him the ball. So I think it's the design of plays sometimes as much as it is play calling. I will give them credit, though, that if this Tampa 2, cover 6, all these different terminologies, if it is taking away what they were last year, at least I saw yesterday at times the ability to morph into something, as you point out, different, and use the Tyler Boyds and the Hayden Hurst and even Mixon out of the backfield to catch some passes, which they weren't doing through the first 5 games anyway.
Yeah, that's right, and that's understandable. And they did what they had to do yesterday. I would like to see at some point as this year goes along that they kind of resurrect that attitude of we're not going to take what the defense gives us. We're going to take what we want. I think they have the players to do that. I think you can mention Jamar Chase in the same breath as Travis Kelce. obviously different types of receivers, but with the same sort of skill and uncoverability, if you will. I don't want to see a team with Boyd, Higgins, Jamar Chase, and the emerging tight end Hayden Hurst play the horizontal game. That's basically saying we can't beat you playing the way we want to play, and we still might not be able to beat you playing your way. But if they're going to lose games, I want them to lose playing how they want to play. I want them to dictate the action, and maybe that's unrealistic. I don't think so. Again, given the players they have, but I want to see that. I want to see the second half of yesterday's game all the time.
The defense, I mentioned a little while ago, it's the first time that a team has gone 6 straight games without allowing a second half touchdown. That in and of itself, to me, watching the state of football that we are in today, that to me is a remarkable accomplishment by this team defensively. We can sit here and debate all we want about the backup quarterbacks they faced early in the year. Maybe they haven't faced that juggernaut offense, although I thought they did a great job against Baltimore until that last drive of the game. But there is certainly something to hang your hat on when it comes to this defense and holding teams to field goal tries rather than touchdowns.
That was key yesterday, obviously. You're not going to beat anybody by kicking field goals when they're scoring touchdowns. Yeah, I agree. The defense has, up until yesterday, I thought the defense had overachieved a little bit. Yesterday, they did not. Yes, ultimately they won because they held the Saints to field goals, and they made that stop on 3 and out with 2 minutes left in the game, which to me, that's when the Bengals won the game. The fact that Chase had the catch and run for the touchdown just put the frosting on it. But I told my wife we're watching the game, I said 3 and out, the Bengals just won. And then they had the bad punt, and they were already in McPherson field goal range as soon as they got the ball, game over. So yeah, credit to the defense for that. I would like to see them do that when they face Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson again, even Tom Brady. They have benefited immensely from the quarterbacks that they've played. 4.5 games of backups, and we've named them, listed them, and the fact yesterday that everybody in the country who had any interest in this game whatsoever knew the only way the Saints were going to win was if they played great defense, and 2, were able to control the game and score points running the ball. And it took the Bengals defense 58 minutes to get that straight and force Andy Dalton to beat them, which most people knew that he wouldn't, especially when he didn't have his top 3 wide receivers. So yeah, great defense so far this year, but I'll put the asterisk beside it, given the quality of the quarterbacks they faced.
All right, I want to shift gears for a second, because if there's ever been a weekend, and really I think it happens almost every weekend, but if there's ever been a weekend that spotlights college football being the best sport there is in the American landscape today, I think this past weekend was it. You can sit there and you can question this call, question that call, whether it's the urgency to know, maybe you can lose a game, maybe you can't lose a game. In some cases, maybe you can't lose a second game. For the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Ohio States, Michigans out there, maybe they can stub their toe, but you can't lose twice. This weekend was incredible to watch college football, whether it was Tennessee, Alabama, TCU, Oklahoma State, USC, Utah. I don't care where you were looking. There was a great game every time you turned around.
Yeah, I agree. I only happened to catch the second half of the Tennessee Alabama game. I was busy cleaning carts and watching leaves with my wife most of the day. But you're right. What I saw the Tennessee Alabama game just spoke to what college football is at its finest. I mean, the scene after the game was amazing. The tension in that game from one possession to the other was astounding. And what was on the line, especially for Tennessee, I think certain teams make the game better for their presence. Like, I just think Tennessee makes college football a better game when Tennessee's good.
Yep.
And they haven't been good for a while, at least not great. Yes, or Saturday they were great. And college football benefited immensely from it. And the sidelight of it being that now that Alabama has lost a game, there exists a possibility, a chance, that they won't be in the playoff for the millionth year in a row. And that's always a good thing. So, great.
In fact, it's gonna. I was looking at the schedules for both Tennessee. Tennessee, after a little bit of a breather, and they're allowed a breather when you play in the SEC. In the middle of the year, Alabama does it all the time. Midway through the year, you'll play somebody you're going to kill and get your guys healthy. After next week, they go back-to-back weeks. Tennessee does against Kentucky, who I still maintain that if they don't blow the game with 2 fumbles inside the 10 against Ole Miss. And then have their starting quarterback, Levis, who's a very good player, miss the next game, which they lost. I think Kentucky's a legitimate top 10, 12 team. Tennessee plays against Kentucky in Lexington, and then they have to play Georgia. So, it's not going to get any easier for them. And for Alabama, now all of a sudden in second place in their half of the division, they're going to play Ole Miss here in a couple of weeks. But then you get to the possibility, Doc, before we let you go, and there have been a lot of big ones in the past. I was at one 2 years ago. But I got to tell you, this collision course for Ohio State, Michigan looks like one of the potentially biggest games those two schools have ever played against one another in the long, storied history of this rivalry, because both of them look like they're really good. I'm not so sure Ohio State and Michigan aren't the top 2 teams in the country.
Yeah, they might be, and you're right. I'm trying to think in my mind what games are bigger between now and the end of the year. I'm not sure I can come up with one. I don't even where is that game this year?
That's at Ohio State.
Okay. Well, good. I've been to enough of those games in that stadium to know what it's like. It's an atmosphere unlike any I've ever seen. And way back in the day when I covered college football for a living, I saw lots of atmospheres, right? I mean, I'd been to LSU, I'd been to Georgia, I'd been to Alabama, I'd been to all those places. None are any better than Ohio Stadium when Michigan's in town. So, yeah, that's one I'm glad that I won't be cleaning golf carts for. I'll be able to watch that.
Look, before I let you go, though, because you look at Penn State, and I made the comment a little while ago. I got to ask you, Doc, look, he might be a good guy. I understand, in fact, he's a very good guy. Mike Reed, one of the all-time great players in college football history who played at Penn State, is a friend of mine, and he went back for the first time in 30 years to visit Penn State a couple of months ago and came away very impressed with Franklin. But Doc, that program is not competing. Now, they play Ohio State a week from Saturday at Penn State. Who knows what happens? Stranger things have happened. But they just don't look like they can compete with Ohio State and Michigan anymore. Forget Georgia and Alabama.
Yeah, and again, that's another one of those schools where college football is better when they're winning. But you're right. And I don't know why that is. I don't know how easy it is anymore to recruit to State College, Pennsylvania, given the competition for really great players that they have. And I think that's probably one of the problems. But you're right. I mean, they have a chance. They get to play the big boys, and if they can compete and beat the big boys, then maybe we can revise the history a little bit on Penn State, Thom. But they haven't done it for a while, so we'll see.
All right, my friend. We will catch up later in the week. Looking forward to reading the morningline.substack.com that just came out a little while ago. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the sunshine.
Thanks, Thom. Go Guardians, by the way.
Yeah, by the way, is right. Love to see them win that game tonight. Garrett Cole was fantastic in Game 1, fantastic in Game 4. But that's going to be fascinating to watch tonight because all the underdogs, except for Houston, all the underdogs have advanced so far. Nobody saw Philadelphia and San Diego coming out, and there they are in the National League Championship Series. Dusty Baker's sitting there waiting on the winner of that one tonight. Good stuff in the baseball playoffs so far. It's been exciting.
You can win 111 games or 101 games, which two teams did, and have your season be considered an underachievement at best and a failure at worst. How about that?
No question about it. And that's what they're saying in Los Angeles today, and they might be saying it in New York tomorrow. We shall see. Doc, have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Thom.
All righty. Thank you for the time.